Hi and welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to do a bridal tutorial. So this is just how I did my hair and then the makeup. So this is obviously the finalized look. I figured I'd give you a good look at it to see if you wanted to go through the tutorial because I know I hate wasting my time and not seeing the final look. So I went with more of like a bronzed, glowy, not so much dewy, but just kind of like a very natural, pulled back look from what I normally do when I'm playing around with makeup. So I am a makeup artist. I do work on bridal makeup and hair with my sister, who is a professional cosmetologist. So she is very, very talented, especially when it comes to bridal updos. I'm not really the best at it. I can pretty much curl hair and style it a little bit, make it look cute. But anyway, so this is the finalized look. If you are interested, then keep on watching. It's more of like a slightly chiseled, just a very defined natural look. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're interested or if you feel like doing that. But otherwise, let's just jump right into the makeup tutorial. So the first step, which I find to be the most important step, is skincare. So you want to make sure that your face, if you have dry skin, that you used, skincare products that hydrate your face before you put any makeup on it. I think a skincare routine is the most important step of makeup application because you can use things that will like really smooth out your face. They can minimize the look of pores before any primer or anything. And you want to make sure that you don't have any blemishes or, just really clear, clean, smooth skin. That'll give you a really nice canvas to work with. The next step after skincare is primer. So I highly recommend the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer because it is an inexpensive primer, but it does help to regulate and smooth out the pores, minimize the look of them, give you like an all over flawless finish. So I just place a little bit on my chin where I do have prominent pores, kind of smooth that over my smile lines because sometimes you can see my pores there, but they're most predominant right here on my face, and I really just smooth that into my skin. The next step would then be either, depending on the order that you are comfortable putting your makeup on, typically I would do my eyebrows first and then my eye makeup and then my face makeup and then finish off my eye makeup. I think for today, I'm just going to do my eyebrows first. I'm going to go in that order that I'm comfortable with doing my makeup. I like doing my eyebrows first because they are the most difficult step for me. And I do use the Milani Stay Put Brow Color. It is a brow pomade. If you're not comfortable using a brow pomade, a brow pencil would work just fine as well. I like to use the Ulta Beauty Full Coverage Liquid Concealer, and it's waterproof. So this is in the color Light Warm, and it's not a bad match to my skin tone at all, but I will just take it. So that's just one dip, and this is how I'll do it. I'll put some on the top and the bottom. Then I will take a very small brush. So this is a small angled brush. Sometimes I'll use a lip brush. Okay, so I just finished cleaning up my brows, and then I did pat the concealer in with my finger just to make sure that everything was smooth and it wasn't like a thick layer, because this is a thicker concealer, so less is more. A little goes a long way with it, but it is waterproof, so if you do start tearing up and a tear just so happens to escape, you can just like dab it off and it won't ruin your makeup. So next I am going to move on to the eyes. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I start out with an eyeshadow primer. So this is the Elizabeth Mott Thank Me Later eyeshadow primer. I got this in a BoxyCharm. You do not have to use a specific eyeshadow primer. This one, I mean, honestly, it really doesn't do much. If you do your face makeup first, then you can just put your foundation and concealer over your eyelids and it'll work just fine. So as far as palettes go, the Colourpop Bare Necessities palette, I'm not going to be using this one today because this one I specifically do use on clients. I still have it in the packaging because I haven't had any clients yet, but this is a brand new palette. It hasn't been used. I specifically only use this on clients because I do like to keep it sanitary, so it is actually held separate from my collection. The other two palettes that I would highly recommend if you're doing your makeup for yourself that are good everyday palettes to use post-wedding is the, ooh, that is really hitting the light there, the Colourpop Double Entendre palette. The other is the Colourpop Give It To Me Straight palette, which is this one. Same thing, it has like this little burgundy shade here. Otherwise, it has a lot of browns, a lot of really nice neutral shimmers in it. I really love this palette. This is an everyday wearable palette, and it's also a very good bridal palette. The third smaller palette I would suggest is the Colourpop Going Coconuts palette. It's just a little 9-pan palette. They are always sold out, so if you can get your hands on that, that is also a very good palette to have for bridal makeup. All right, so to start out with, I am going to go in with, this is a Bestow fluffy brush. Had one random long hair in it. So this is a Bestow fluffy brush that comes with that set, and I'm going to start out with very mild colors. So I'm actually going to mix these two light shades at the bottom. One is more of like a cream color, and I think I'm actually going to start with the cream color and place that up by my brow bone before I go in with that darker shade to deepen up my crease. So I am just going to lightly place that right below my brow bone. Okay, so with that cream color on the bottom, I just took it on the fluffy brush and went like this, and just windshield wiper motions under the brow just to make sure that that area was set. And now I'm going to mix the two together, these two on the bottom, and I'm going to start on the outer corner, moving that inward, keeping it in my crease. So I really want to concentrate the deepest on the outer side, so that's where I am starting with it, and then moving that inward. Now that we have that initial lay down, I am going to take this super big fluffy brush with no product on it, and I'm just going to go across right in the area between where that darker shadow ends and where I placed just that cream color right here. I want to make sure that there are no harsh lines and that it is all completely blended. So I just run this back and forth right under the brow to make sure that everything is blended, everything is smooth, nothing looks harsh, everything, you know, it's just pretty. Next up, I am going to take this more concentrated, smaller, fluffy brush. The bristles are a little bit closer together, and I'm going to start deepening up the crease in the outer corner. And for that, I'm going to dip into this brown right down here. It is a darker brown. You do not need a lot of this eyeshadow in order to deepen up the color. So I just place a little bit in the outer corner here, so not much, and then bring that up, whatever's left on my brush, into the crease. And I don't bring this shade into that first quarter of my eye here, so I leave that alone. I just put that darker color for more of a gradient look, but leaving that first third of my eye alone. If I put the color on the back of my hand, put the brush on the back of my hand and no product comes off, then I will take it into that first third of my eye. So no additional darker color is getting in there, but then everything is blended together. All right, So then for the shimmer that I had chosen for the lid, I am going to go in with the NYX Glitter Glue. And this is an e.l.f. concealer brush. And you just take a very small amount. That's actually too much, so this is enough for both eyes. As you can see, just that tiny little bit of product. And I'm going to place this all over the lid. So this is a Bestow flat shader brush, and I am going to go into this top shimmer right here and really pack that onto my brush. So I have a really good amount, and then I just pat that where I want it to go. And then very gently, with whatever's left on my brush, I tap into that darker color on the outer V. Okay, now that I have that shimmer laid down, I'm going to go back in with that little fluffy brush. I just barely tapped into the pan, and I am just going to lightly, very gently, and like patting, pulling away. Just very, very gently, like barely even touching my eye, just to get that gradient look. Let's move on to the face. So this this is a step that I prefer to do beforehand. This is completely optional, but I will actually cream contour before I put on foundation. So this is the Makeup Revolution Fast Based Foundation Stick in the color F13. It's very dark, so I'll place a little bit under the center of my lip, on the underside of my jaw, on my nose there, and then I will do a tiny dot on both sides of my forehead. And the brush I used for that is this Wet n Wild, I think it's a contouring brush, but it's just like a flat brush. e.l.f. makes a really good contouring face brush. Mine I just washed because it was dirty, so I couldn't use it. So right now it's currently wet. So for foundation now, my favorite foundation, unfortunately, it is in my makeup kit at my sister's house, so I don't actually have it with me, but my favorite is the Mary Kay 3D foundation. So I'm going to go in with the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. This is a good alternative to the Mary Kay. This is a matte foundation, but it is very, very long lasting, and you will get all day wear out of it. Now, because this is a full coverage foundation, a lot of that cream contour, you'll see what happens to it once you put foundation on top. But I like the way that it looks because it is a more natural way of shading your face aside from just using a little bit of powder. But I'm obsessed with cream contour, so very, very carefully going around the brows. I prefer to use a brush to apply my foundation. I've just been really liking a brush lately. And so what I will do is, gotta have a really good foundation brush. This is a doe color flat foundation brush. So it's very inexpensive. It came in a set, but I really, really like the coverage that it gives me and the way that it applies the foundation is very nice. Minimal streaking. You will get a little bit of streaking most of the time with a foundation brush, but very minimal streaking. It took me a long time to figure out how to apply foundation with a brush, so if I would definitely practice if you want to use a brush for foundation application. Practice, because this actually took me quite a few years to get down. So just going to gently pat the foundation over the cream contour. But as you can see, with the foundation over it, it looks like a very natural shadow is happening right there. So I like to do the same with the neck. A lot of times you'll hear from makeup artists that they don't like putting foundation on the neck, or I don't know. I've heard so many mixed opinions. Like, I don't like putting foundation on the neck. I do like putting foundation on the neck. As long as you set it and it matches the chest, then yes, I would match the face and the neck to the chest. So I actually color match people to their chest, and that is how that's how I color match. I don't do anything else for color matching aside from matching their chest. I don't try to match their faces. I don't try to match their necks. I will just apply the foundation all the way to the neck, all the way down the neck to the chest, and stop at the collarbone. So I stop at the base of the neck right before the collarbone. And that is just how I prefer to do it, because that way everything matches. Most bridal dresses that you'll have, they do have something going on in the chest, like they will dip down. There's different types of cuts for wedding dresses, but a lot of times at least a portion of the chest is exposed. I'm going to go back in with the Ulta Beauty Full Coverage Liquid Concealer, and for this I just do a V under the eye. I don't do like the full crazy coverage, and I will put a little like spot on the forehead, a couple spots on the nose, right on the Cupid's bow, and then little dots on the chin. So depending on your skin tone, I do prefer to use a translucent powder that does have an undertone. So I do have a peach undertone powder that I like, a peach undertoned translucent powder, so it doesn't leave any kind of cast or finish on it, but it does go a lot better with those peachy or pink undertones to the skin. I have yellow undertones in my skin, so I actually use a banana powder, banana baking powder, and so there are very specific parts that I like to set a little bit more than others. So I do use the Tati Beauty Blendiful as a powder puff. I use this on clients as well because it is a very soft, very, very well done powder puff. I know you can do so much more with it than other than using it as a powder puff, but this is I prefer to use it as a powder puff because it will melt powder into the skin very, very nicely, and also it'll pick up a lot of product if you want to really bake that on. So I just very gently put a very little bit of powder to go along the jawline and just really get all of that chiseled out, and you see that shadow is so much more prominent now. It's beautiful. And then I will dab some on the chin, some on the lip. I will fully set the nose because this is typically the place that people will get sweaty or oily first, is around their nose or right here on their cheeks. So those are the areas that I do set the most, and I put quite a bit of powder on it and just kind of let that absorb into the skin. And then I do set the forehead very, very lightly, just kind of like, even though I am rubbing the powder into the skin, it's not breaking up the foundation, it's not changing anything about the foundation or the base that we are working with. It is just very lightly and gently placing that powder and really melting it into the skin. And I will use very, very small amounts of powder to go over that cream contour, like barely any powder at all, and just really getting all of that in there. so that everything is set. Because that's my most important thing, is setting your foundation is going to make it last a little bit longer. And then for the neck, I just do one big dip, and I do the same thing. I smooth everything out. So it's just a very thin layer of powder that is going across the entire thing, and I'm setting all of that foundation. Now, if the bride is, so if you're doing this for yourself, or you're looking to do it for a friend, or whatever this you looked up this video for, if the bride is wearing their hair up, you want to bring that foundation all the way to the back. So if you're doing it on yourself, you want to make sure that you are covering the back of your neck as well, and making sure that your chest and your back and everything matches, just because you'll take photos at different angles, and if you have a really harsh line of where you ended your foundation right here, that is going to be picked up on those photos. All right, so I'm going to finish off the eyes first before I finish off the face. I'm going to let the powder that I placed under my eyes really soak in for a little bit. So I'm going to take this angled Bestope brush, and I am going to dip into that lighter brown that I used originally. And this I'm going to keep very, very close to my lash line, and place that right underneath my lash line there. It's very, very similar in undertones to that shimmer that I used on my lid. So I think that's a good combo. And then I'm going to lightly do one tap into the darker brown, and I am just going to place that on the outer, very outer edge of my eye. I do one more tap. And just make sure that all of that gets connected on the outer eye there. So do you see how the dark is connected, and then it goes into lighter? So that bottom shimmer, I am just going to take it on this really small Morphe brush. Any super tiny brush will work. I'm just going to very, very carefully put that on the tear duct. Not a whole lot. I'm not doing like a big dot. I am just going to carry that a little bit into the lower and upper lash lines, just so everything connects really nicely, and it's not just like this harsh dot on your tear duct. Now for eyeliner, for the waterline, I like to go in with the Ulta Beauty gel eyeliner in Mink, which is the brown one. So when it comes to more natural bridal looks, I do prefer to use a brown liner instead of a black. So, and using a gel liner actually helps a lot with any kind of tearing, any kind of wateriness in the eye. Colourpop has the cream gel liners that actually are my favorite, but they were sold out when I tried to buy the brown one. Then for the top, I always prefer to use a liquid liner. So this is the Colorpop BFF liquid liner in the color Grande, and I will just do a very, very thin line up against the lashes, so like not even visible. But this just helps conceal a lash band. So I just keep it so close, so you can see the definition between this eye and this eye. This eye does look a little bit more defined, but it doesn't look like there is eyeliner on. So now that I have them defined, the next thing you want to go is you want to use a waterproof mascara. So this is not the waterproof Lash Princess mascara. I do have that one in my makeup kit, but I use that one on clients, so I don't use it on myself. But the Lash Princess waterproof mascara is the bomb. I love Lash Princess mascara in general. It will make anyone's natural lashes look absolutely defined and beautiful. It will volumize, it will lengthen, it will do all the things that you need it to do. But it does give a very nice, beautiful, voluminous, dramatic effect to the lashes if that's what you're going for. If not, I would suggest choosing a mascara that does lean more on the natural side. I just think that this mascara does an absolutely beautiful job of really defining the lashes even without false lashes. So I didn't put it on my top lashes yet. So for bridal lashes, my favorite are the Ardelle Faux Mink 817 lashes because they are still, they're very voluminous, they're very full, but they're not overly dramatic to the point where your lashes are the focal point of the eye look, if that makes sense. It just helps with the definition, and the volume just adds a little bit of oomph to the lashes. I also really love using the Eyelure 18-hour lash glue because they do stay all freaking day. My favorite lash glue in general. The other thing you can use is wig glue. I know that sounds a little strange, but wig glue works really well for false lashes too, and it's not super damaging to the eyelashes. I like the Eyelure London lash glue because it does last for a very long time, and my lashes stick very well, and I don't have an issue with them coming off or becoming loose at all. For false lashes, if you're not used to wearing them, I would suggest a little bit of practice with application because they aren't the easiest thing in the world to apply. But I do not apply my false lashes all the way to the inner corner. I do leave a little bit of space, so the false lashes start right there. Ooh, poked myself in the eye. Not fun. And I get these really, really close to the lash line. And how I apply them is just with a regular tweezer. I don't use like special false eyelash tweezers. I feel like I have less control when I use those. I just use regular tweezers, and I place it where I want it to go, and then just really make sure that they are pressed onto my eyelid very close to my lashes. So you do not want to place false lashes on your real lashes because when you take them off, you are going to pull them out with the glue, and that is so incredibly unpleasant. Okay, so I just went ahead and finished the lashes on the other eye, and then I applied the mascara. Now, I like to apply the mascara after I have the lashes on. For clients whose natural lashes don't curl, mine do naturally curl up like that, and so for clients whose lashes don't naturally curl, I will curl them once I have the false eyelashes on. That way they mix with the lashes really well, and then I will coat their natural lashes with the mascara. I won't fully coat the false lashes, but I will get them really blended in and stuck together so that they do look seamless and natural. Now, I will take a big face brush and I will just kind of go over the whole face. Once all of the lashes, once all of the mascara and everything is dry, and I know I'm not going to be throwing powder onto wet mascara, then I will just take a face brush and go over the face one more time. So for bronzer, I am going to use the Asthetica bronzer. I did get this in a BoxyCharm. There are far cheaper bronzers that you can use. I really like the Makeup Revolution bronzers, and I will just start in the back corner here and just kind of deepen up that cream contour. And I just use a very small angled face brush. This is what I prefer to use for bronzer when I'm rebronzing the little hollow of my cheek. And then I do start in the back with the product and then start forward and brush backwards. I want the concentration of the darkest powder like the most concentration back here, and then I want just a little bit of light bronzing, and I just kind of go in like these circular motions just right in the hollows of my cheeks. And then I will take a very small amount of that powder, and I will go down the sides of my nose and across. I will also gently brush that along the jawline, just where I placed that cream contour before. But I'm being very gentle with it because I don't want to have too dark of like bronzer. And then I will lightly tap along the hairline to also bronze up the rest of the face, but not too much. It's just a very, very light little kiss of color. So there are two different kinds of blush that I really like to go with, either like a warm terracotta kind of blush, or a very, very natural, like pinky, almost skin toned blush that adds just the tiniest little flush to the skin. So this is the Physicians Formula Butter Blush, and I have the color Vintage Rouge. So it is like the smallest little amount of color, but like I said, if we're keeping it more natural, this is kind of the vibe we want to go with. So it's not a lot of color at all, it's very, very subtle. And then I will actually put just a little bit on the nose as well. So it's just a very tiny flush to the skin, very, very natural. With deeper skin tones or people who naturally have a lot of red on their face, or they don't like red blush, that's when I will use the more terracotta colored blush, because it's leaning more on the side of a bronzer versus a blush, where it just has that slight little orange undertone to it, but it mainly has like the warm brown undertones. There's also two different kinds of blush that highlighter that I like to use. So these are the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder, and I have Golden Flower Crown and Precious Petals. So Golden Flower Crown is going to be that like really gold champagne-y kind of highlight, and the Precious Petals is more on like the rose gold side, so it's got like a little bit of that pinkiness to it. So I am actually going to go in with Golden Flower Crown. And I just take this really small Bestow fan brush, and I just coat both sides of the fan brush and concentrate that right on the top of the cheekbone, going in kind of circular motions. Then I'll flip it over and use the other side on the other cheek. And just add a tiny, tiny, very subtle, very light glow. I love to put highlighter on my upper lip just to make it a little bit more glowy right there, but I will ask, you know, the client if they like that too. But I won't put highlighter on the nose because, you know, wedding dresses are heavy and you're sweating, so you don't really want to be too glowy in one area. I will just hit the cheeks, like the very top of the cheekbone, like so. Okay, now for setting spray, there's a couple different ones that I like to use. The Morphe Continuous Setting Mist, if, you know, like people don't like being shot with a geyser in the face. Otherwise, I will use the Milani Make It Last or the Milani Make It Dewy. So both of these are 16-hour wear setting sprays, so they do actually help significantly make my makeup last longer. But if a bride or a client wants to have a really dewy finish, I will use this on their skin to set it. Otherwise, if they're just looking for a very long lasting and they don't really want to be very dewy, I will use the Make It Last, or if they have oily skin, I will use the Make It Last. For this type of look, for me personally, I would be going with a very, very nude lip. I might even go for like a darker, like brown toned nude. So I'm using the Colourpop Lippy Pencil in BFF. And I do overline the bottom lip, and then I try to stay within the natural shape of the top lip, unless they have really thin lips and they want it to look fuller. then I will overline the top lip. So my favorite ever lip products in the entire world are the Colourpop Ultra... Dang it. Okay. The Colourpop Ultra Blotted Lip. So I do have a lot more colors in these. Most of my nudes, again, are in my kit. The other thing that I will do is the e.l.f. Seriously Satin lipsticks are so, so good. So I will actually use these on clients too. Just depending on what they want. If you want a bullet lipstick, I would suggest going with the e.l.f. Seriously Satin. If you want a very long lasting liquid lipstick, I would go with the Colourpop Ultra Blotted Lip. And when you apply it, apply a little bit to the center of both the bottom and your top lip, and then take your finger and spread it out and dab it, because you just want a thin layer of this. All right, so I just went ahead and put my extensions in and curled my hair. So I will have a video on that. I will probably upload them both at the same time. So they will be linked in, so the video on the hair will be linked in the description box below. But anyways, there was a couple more things I wanted to touch on before I say goodbye. For brows, I really like to use a brow gel. So this is the Colourpop Brow Boss Gel. And I just ran that through my brows because it helps keep them in place and really sets in the pomade. And so these will last all day like that. If you're worried about the pomade or if you use too much and it doesn't dry properly or something, I would suggest using a brow pencil. Just use what you're comfortable with. But yeah, so, and then the other thing was a gloss topper. So typically I don't suggest a gloss topper unless you're doing pictures, so which is typically after the reception. But as far as like when you're going and you're going to be, you know, like giving the kiss, saying your I do's and then the kisses and stuff, I would suggest not having a gloss on, because I don't know about the men in your lives, but mine does not like gloss. So I just put a little in the center and then a little on the top, and then I'll just take my finger and kind of disperse it. And then just wipe off my finger. And then it evenly disperses a nice amount of gloss on your lips. But if you don't apply it to the full lip, then you're left with less on your lips, but you still get that same beautiful shine. So anyways, that is all I've got for you today on this very simplistic bridal makeup look. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. I hope you enjoyed the video, but I can't wait to see you in my next one.